And scene. Or scene. I don't know. I feel seen.
Action! That's it.
Nice. Hey, it's Tim and Richard with the next episode of Armchair Quarterbacks. Welcome to today's discussion. It's a very special day for us. We are in the Puget Sound area, and the Seattle Seahawks are playing right this very second on Monday Night Football. So this is not going to be a 2-hour episode, is all I have to say about that.
And the Mariners played tonight, too.
And the Mariners are playing for the World Series tonight.
To go to the World Series,
yeah,
yes.
if they win tonight, they go to actually, it's winner go home,
Winner
right?
go home. It's Game 7.
Yikes. Okay. So, lots on the line for Puget Sound sports fans. So, as always, we're going to start with cool use of AI this week. And then we're going to talk about raising money and some of the challenges or mistakes that Richard's seen entrepreneurs make. And we're going to talk through that and how to avoid them. So that's the agenda for today. And let's jump into it. We started pre-recording and you were talking about what you had done that was cool with AI this week. So
Yeah. So for one of my clients, they had a board member that was asking lots of questions about the market and customers and what they're doing and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the things that I have a strong preference is not to describe the market by what's the biggest thing you can think of, and then you go something smaller and something smaller, and you call that your TAM, SAM, SOM, right? I actually like it built up from the ground up, especially in a B2B. B2C, sorry.
can you define TAM, SAM, SOM?
Total addressable market, so the total possible market you can possibly serve with your vision.
Okay.
When your vision's complete, when you're able to deliver on your whole vision.
Okay.
SAM, the something addressable market. I forget what the S stands for.
I'm actually not familiar with SAM or SOM.
SAM is the addressable market.
Like realistic addressable market?
Realistic addressable market. Think of something that your near-term products could actually address, like actually do something for.
Right.
So what's the total number of people, what's the total number of companies that Integrate IQ could serve, right? So a lot of people talk about the TAM saying, so the total addressable market being, what are total consultative services in the world, right? And kind of maybe something like what Integrate IQ does. Then it's like, well, focusing on what Integrate IQ does, what is the serviceable addressable market?
Nice.
Service obtainable market. Serviceable obtainable market, SOM. And that is, well, who could we, if we were big enough, strong enough, had enough money, who could we actually service? Right?
With your product as it is today?
With your...
Or solution as it is today?
Ish.
Okay.
And then SOM is these... Oh, I said SOM.
SOM, that was SAM.
That was SAM. And then SOM is the serviceable, obtainable market. So what can you actually obtain? And usually you're looking like a 3 to 5 year window, right? Some near-term window, which is, based on the products I have today, based on the markets I serve today, based on the resources I can deploy today to get those customers to use those products, what's actually doable?
Yeah.
So I'm opening a new restaurant. People eating out is a $1 trillion industry a year. I don't know what it is, but you know what I mean? It's like people start with that as their TAM.
Right.
And then they're like, but I'm in the
Mexican food
market. So Mexican is, something smaller than everybody eating out.
Yeah.
And then your SOM is like, well, I'm at the high-end Mexican in the Seattle area where people only within 20 miles of my restaurant can come.
Yeah. Okay.
How did we get on this subject? I'm totally lost now.
You were telling me about something cool that you did with AI.
So the board member is asking lots of questions about our marketplace. Unlike what I just described, my strong preference is to say, okay, who are we going to go after? Where are they at? How much? And start building up essentially a named list.
Yeah, right.
And that becomes your named list. In agriculture, for example, it's not like there's billions and billions like that. Your market, if you're into greenhouses, as this particular company is, there's only so many greenhouses in North America and Europe.
Yeah.
Add them up.
Yep.
That's your total addressable market. Anything else is like, well, what's the total amount of lettuce sold in the world today? That's a stupid, that's a non-meaning number. That's a meaningless number. Anyway, so I had them build up a spreadsheet for me of everyone, like from all different sources, who are all the greenhouse growers, what do they grow, where are they at, country sort of thing, maybe not, contact information, all that. But so it's not like a dump you can put into Salesforce.com or
HubSpot.
Exactly. Use HubSpot. And get Tim to help you. So it's not a dump.
I wish
that
I had
you
some
could put
cash
that,
on me.
It's not a dump you can put directly in there.
Right.
This is just a big spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But a detailed information, but excluding particular contact stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So you have a guess as to the size of the customer, how much they could buy, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so I took that spreadsheet, and he wanted that spreadsheet for whatever he was using it. I took it, and I dumped it into ChatGPT.
Okay.
And then I started asking questions, like, if I concentrate only on the Netherlands and tomatoes, how many units could I sell based on X number of units per acre?
Wow.
If what is the total European market? And now what if I take out strawberries?
Yeah, cool.
Right? And is it better to be in Leamington, Canada, or Mexico? Which of those two is larger?
Yeah.
And it was just... Yeah. And sure, I could have put all that... I could have put the data in a pivot table. It wasn't a pivot, right? It was in a spreadsheet. The intention was make a pivot table and answer questions to your heart's content.
Yeah.
You don't have to. I just dumped it in and started asking it questions.
And I think that's the magic of this, right? Is the natural language. So you can... I don't know about you, but I pull on threads. Like, I'll come up with a data set and not exactly know why, right? And then I'll have the curiosity about it, and I'll start pulling on that thread, and then that leads to the next thing, which leads to the next thing, and leads to the next thing. And throughout my history, I've had to have the thought, come up with a question, and then build the pivot table, the spreadsheet, the whatever. Now all I have to do is dump the information into and then I can just follow my curiosity and get that information.
What I didn't expect was it would tell me how it got there. Yeah. Because the spreadsheet requires some understanding of what you mean by the columns, what you mean by the data inside.
Right.
So, for example, there was under products for these growers, there was tomatoes or beefcake. There's essentially 3 major types of tomatoes, a couple of major types of cucumbers, strawberries, something else. And so there are columns with an X if that grower did that thing.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And so when I was like, how many growers grow tomatoes but don't grow cherries, it would say, give me an answer, and it would say, and I did... Right, I was assuming that the column marked cherries with an X in it was that they were right, and it double checked whether its logic about the data was accurate.
Yeah, cool.
And that had not expected and found fascinating that it was able to do that, because I literally just dumped it in. I didn't tell it anything about what the columns were. I didn't tell it anything. I just started asking questions, and it's like, so it checked. And that's great, because it'll tell you I had it provide me a chart with based on production in the U.S. of the top 5 fruits. Right? So essentially, give me a pie chart of the top 5 fruits produced in the United States.
Okay.
And so it was like checking USD sources, checking blah, blah, blah. And then it was, at one point, it's like checking the peach something or other, checking blueberries, revisiting peach something or other because like some were the data pulled together in order to figure out how much was produced.
Yeah.
Some of it was in tons, some of it was in pounds, some of it was in bushels, some of it was in whatever.
God
so
dang.
it would go back. I watched it go back and forth between blueberries and peaches to determine which one it thought was the 5th.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And it was checking multiple sources, right? Double checking blah, blah, blah. Well, comparing that to blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, oh, I feel pretty good about the answer it's bringing me, right?
Huh.
And so I thought that was, if I just never noticed before, shame on me, but that is good UI in that letting me watch your thinking process builds confidence in the answer you're about to give me.
Particularly when you are aware that one of the primary objections is hallucinations, right? So they're
really good.
starting
really good
to
point.
address that.
So is that new functionality?
I think it's related to 4.5, which has not rolled out and been accepted very well.
Okay.
So 4.5 has been kind of a flop, but it's the one that introduced this thinking mode or deep thinking mode or deep research or whatever they're calling it. And I have noticed the same thing, that it goes through step by step. Claude does this, and the product that people have been talking about most recently is Claude, right? So our developers use it to map things, to QA code, to actually begin coding. And it's very frequently they're talking about Claude. So I went out and I got the commercial version of Claude, and it does the same thing. And I think it's where that started. It's supposed to be the LLM that is more thoughtful and deep thinking. So what I was going to say about that is ChatGPT, I guess, is losing market share pretty significantly, which surprised me. They've always felt like the 500-pound gorilla.
Well, good. I want people to vote with their feet.
It's a good use of AI this week.
And you?
Well, so this is not what I was going to talk about, but I want to build on a couple things that you said. So you talked about Tam, Sam, Som.
Yeah.
Or Som, Sam.
Tam, Sam, Som.
And then how you build up from the bottom, right?
Yeah.
Like counterintuitively, probably for most people, it's how you build up. And what you described is what I think of as ideal customer profile. And in my world, or in my opinion, a very focused ideal customer profile. So taking the total addressable market and then make it as small as you possibly can to come up with an ideal customer profile down to demographics, gender, well, I guess that is demographics, but down to very specific detail is a smart way to then build your way back up, right? So if you get a very precise picture of who you're looking for, then you can go find them, right?
Yeah.
And with the data set you put together, or that team put together, here's an idea to extend your use of LLMs. So if you have an ideal customer profile, you can ask the LLM to go find that profile for each of the companies on your list. So you may not know it's person whomever, John Smith, but you can say, I do know that I want the chief revenue officer or the chief marketing officer for this company. Go find them.
Yeah.
And so I haven't figured out a way to have an LLM like find specific like cell phone details or email details. I'm sure that's super protected, but I have been able to target the ideal customer profile at specific company, kind of in specific markets. And then what you can do is start targeting advertising to them. So digital advertising, very specifically. And I haven't gotten there in my business, but that's kind of the next step.
Yeah. Separate from this, you're right, it's demographic information about the companies, the customer organizations.
Yeah, the company ads.
There is psychographic data, not in the spreadsheet, but separately, the CS department, the customer success group, as helping as part of the sales process, does help putting together customer profiles, right? So, and that is about the humans.
Yeah.
To understand their needs and whatever, their needs and motivations, in order to assist the sales process and try to make it as smooth as possible. I could foresee, I don't know how we would get it for the general group, but what I could foresee is including, because inside this existing spreadsheet, the demographics about the companies, is our current customers. One of the things I haven't done yet is to say, what unique attributes do our existing customers have, and make me a list of people out of that also have those same attributes, and not be prescriptive about what those attributes are. Have it tell me, try to find those correlations zone and tell me, oh, by the way, you do great in this location with this type of produce, in this sort of size, with this sort of whatever, right? And see if, for all I know, they may find out like, well, Richard, if you have a P.O. box, you're less likely to want your products than if you use your local mailing address, or if the office is in the greenhouse itself, or whatever, right? I'm not sure what that correlation will be. I would love it to figure that out.
Is this company that you're talking about, are they pretty good with CRM and a ticketing system?
Nope.
Email? Like, is all this happening via email? Is there some digital system where there are customer interactions happening?
Yeah. I think it's all via email. I bet they do invite customers to Slack channels and things like that, but I bet it's mostly via email.
Okay. I recently connected ChatGPT to my email. We use Google Workspace, and so now it has access to that, and I can ask questions of my inbox.
I want that. I need that.
So let's talk about me now. So the transition here is, and it's a total bummer that there isn't discipline around using some CRM, right? Whether it's Salesforce or HubSpot or some other CRM where this data is structured.
In the last 4 years, 3 tries have failed.
None of those tries have been with us.
No. But no, the humans can just not be convinced to stick to a process.
Yeah, that's a failure of sales leadership.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%.
So here's why I bring this up. It's top of mind right now. I've been hearing a lot about Claude. It appears to be sort of rising, and our development team uses it a lot. And I've used Gemini. I use ChatGPT a lot. But I hadn't used Claude, but I keep hearing about it. I'm on podcasts I listen to and internally on the team, so I wanted to try it. So today I've been training it, feeding in go look at we have 3 primary websites that we maintain for our different brands. So go do that, look at our white papers, look at our overview deck. These are prompts that I've used with ChatGPT and to develop a brand voice, to help it understand what the profile of our business is. And because I'm trying to help Claude very quickly get up to speed on who we are, what we do, what our value proposition is, what our market is, what our ICP is, what's the solution set that we bring to market and why are we different. And I've gotten a lot of that done. The reason I am super high on Claude right now, it was easy to connect it to HubSpot, where all of our interactions are. Our tickets, our CRM, our pipeline, sales pipeline, closed deals, closed won deals, closed lost deals. And I'm able to in fact, it's churning away as we speak, turn Claude on that data set to understand what segments are we successful in, what segments are we not successful in, what are the lead sources that are working well for us, what do the ICPs look like, what problems are those people having that they came to us, because all that's captured in emails that's in the CRM. So there's this clean, structured data that the LLM's able to chew through, and I cannot wait to see what that says. I'm expecting it's going to be incredible insight.
Yeah, I need me some of that for sure.
If only there was a company that could help you.
Yeah, I need me some of that personally as well. When I've got, and we'll have to talk about Exchange, because I've got one client, for example, that only works through Exchange. I got 2 that work through Exchange, but one that allows you to hook it up to your Apple products. The other one won't let the mail be on my phone. I have to use the Exchange app on my phone. So now I'm getting multiple.
When you say Exchange, do you mean Outlook?
Outlook, yeah. The Outlook app.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep.
So that is where I've got like 5 different emails, and that is where I got 6, and that's where I got another one. So it's becoming more and more, and I get some people that like to text me, some people that like to Slack me, some people that like to, right? So, and I can't tell my clients how they should communicate.
Yep.
Right? Their culture is their culture. What I would love is, I can't tell you how many times I am trying to do a ChatGPT query in the search bar of an email application.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I got an email from Will. Where is, Will, and then I find his name.
Yeah, okay. Right.
And then I put in another keyword or something, and it's like, I just want to say, where's that email from Will? It was about the last week, maybe 2, and it was on kind of this subject, and I think he talked about blank.
Yeah.
Find it.
Yeah. No, this will be good for you.
Anywho.
Yeah, interesting. Super interesting. Well, there's lots to...
So is that your thing of the week? Was the fact you are having Claude crunch away, and you'll get back to us on the success of Claude?
I think so. Yeah. I've had a weird week.
You're a weird guy.
I am a weird guy. So it's... like the last several weeks I've had something really cool that I've done with AI. Not so much this week. So hopefully the result of this thing is going to be pretty incredible. We'll see. I was every Monday at 8 a.m. I do a sales review with my account executive, and we go through the pipeline and talk about, it's fourth quarter now, it's closing time. So we have sort of segments of the month that we go through with a particular focus. Beginning of the month, it's about developing the pipeline, really sort of setting up the subsequent months. The middle of the month, it's about getting people from early qualification stages to proposal. At the end of the month, it's about getting people to actually close. Our sales cycles of 60 to 90 days, but it's rinse and repeat every month. And there's, if you zoom out from there, it's not just months, it's quarters, right? It's the end of the year, so there's certain messages that we can send around the end of the year, and sort of this artificial pressure to get as much in by the end of the year as we can. So
yeah. Draining the swamp, and not in a political way.
Yeah, so that's what's going on with us. I was on that call this morning with them, and we had a question about the pipeline, and I went into Claude and asked the question, and up it popped, and way more detailed than we needed, and it was really insightful and great, and it sort of helped us navigate that conversation. So that was my AI thing this week. I've had a couple of AI failures. Like, I tried really hard today. We're about to launch a mobile app for our SMS product, Message IQ, and I wanted AI to create the mobile icon, and my God, I tried 4 different LLMs. They all failed just horribly. It was miserable. Meaning the icons were terrible. Okay. Awful. They looked like crap. They weren't on brand. A 4-year-old could have made those icons. It was terrible. Wow. That's surprising that it was bad. Yeah. Frankly. I think it does much better at photography type art as opposed to this. So, yeah. So, I guess next week we'll report back. I like it. So our topic today is about fundraising, and you have been in more deals than I think anybody else I know, and raised money in a gazillion different ways. I think you have some really interesting insight, and you've seen entrepreneurs blow that process up several times. So I am interested in hearing kind of what have you seen, and most importantly, I suppose, what hasn't worked well. So start where you want to start, with success stories or some suggestions or war stories about things that have gone horribly wrong.
Yeah. Well, we'll skip the war stories this time around. Will it be things that have gone horribly wrong? It won't be things that have gone horribly wrong. It will be mistakes that I see people make.
Great.
And people being entrepreneurs, the people raising the money.
Yep. And while you're telling this, or while you're walking us through this, I'm going to step off camera for just a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. I'm going to focus on young companies, so early stage fundraising. The later you get in a...
That's for good luck. I mean...
Yeah. The later you get in in fundraising rounds, the more you move from promise to actuals. Like it's less about it's less about what you say you're going to do and more about like what have you done for me lately. So the same things I'm gonna say are still true in later rounds. It just the weighting becomes more and more toward your actuals as opposed to your promise, right?
Yeah. Okay.
What I call state versus promise. Tell me what's happening, state versus the promise of. So that pendulum swings more towards state as the longer you've been around, the later the round. So here's what I see. Here's some of the things that I see, the mistakes I see people make. And let me give you some context. So fundraising is about convincing a investor to hand over some dough.
Yep.
I mean, in the end, that's all it is. So I have a particular story arc to try to achieve that. right? That's our goal. And I have a particular story arc that I try to achieve it. And it's usually one of two different ways.
Does it matter what stage of fundraising it is? Like A series or angel?
Yeah, and that's what I mean by round. So, so seed.
Sorry, is the story arc the same depending on the round?
Yeah, the story arc is the same. The data you supply starts moving from promise to state.
Yeah. Okay.
The later you go, but the story arc is pretty much the same, which is because you have to convince. I believe, in a short history, 10 years in advertising tells me that decisions are not made here.
Yeah.
They're made here,
yeah.
right? And then people reverse engineer why they made that decision. Right? So they make the decision here, and then they go search for information to support the decision that they had already made.
Yeah.
They don't see it that way. And in fact, when you talk to people about advertising, people will almost always say to you, advertising doesn't work on me. It is like the largest source of revenue for many of the high-tech companies that are out there, right? So it must work. It has to work.
Yeah.
It does work.
Yeah.
And so for the 300 million people that live in the United States that all think that advertising doesn't work on them, you're wrong. It does. And that's a whole separate story which we can talk about. But so often I want to capture their heart,
Okay.
and then prove them right.
Okay.
Okay? So a lot of times the story arc goes like this. One of two different types. Story arc 1. There's a village. The people are wonderful, they're happy and whatever. They grow a crop, right? They feed themselves. Maybe they fish, maybe they grow crops, whatever. But they do a thing, and the crops are burned. Why? A dragon.
Okay.
You talk about the dragon.
Yeah.
The dragon's burning the crops, killing the villagers, right? And I'm the hero. My company is the hero, and we have a sharp sword and a strong shield, and we will kill the dragon. We will vanquish the dragon and save the crops, thereby saving the village. That's story arc number 1.
Okay.
Here's the people going about their day. Here's how they're sustaining themselves. That's being destroyed by insert bad thing here, the dragon, and a hero comes along to save the day.
Yeah.
And we are the hero. The second way that story is told is, here's a hero who kills dragons, who burns crops, which hurts the villagers.
Right.
I have a strong preference for number 1.
Yeah.
You need enough time. You need a little bit more time to talk about the village first. But so if your time is really short, like your elevator pitch, I have a strong shield and strong thing because we defeat a dragon who kills the crops for this group of people.
Yeah.
Right? But in a pitch, I very much believe in you get them to fall in love with the village. You get them to hate the dragon. And now they're looking for a hero. So when you introduce one, they already are emotionally tied to accepting that hero.
Yeah.
Even if intellectually they might disagree with that hero or not think that hero, they want the hero to win. They want at that point to.
They're invested.
They're invested in. They're invested in that hero winning. So I usually tell this to the entrepreneurs, like we're going to come up with 2 versions, right? And sometimes I'll make slides, or if we're live, I'll have the sticky paper, and it's like village, crops, dragon, hero.
Yeah, so interesting.
And then it's like, who is your village? Right? Tell me about the village, dude. And then what are the crops, right? So you got the village. The crops, and sometimes these two collapse together, but a lot of times you'd be surprised at how many times you actually can pull them apart. And then it's like, what's the problem, right? People always want to do the problem. It's dragon, right? Who's the dragon? What's it doing to these people, right?
Yeah.
And it's usually not doing it directly to the people. It's usually doing it to something that's affecting the people. And that's why I put the crops in the middle. And then tell me about your solution, right?
Yeah.
So it's target market, problem, right? But it's 2 steps to the problem, solution, right?
So the village is not the target market?
The village is the target market.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The problem is set into crops and dragon.
Right, yeah. Yep.
So here's sometimes what I hear that's a problem. Oh, okay. So here's some problems in that story arc. Or here's how entrepreneurs sometimes can get it wrong.
There you go. Yeah.
Couple things. Thing number 1 is the entrepreneur wants, I call it the entrepreneur's dilemma. They want to show their focus. I want them to show their focus. They want to show how their solution could do so many things. All that tells people is they're not focused, and if you're not focused, you're probably not going to be successful.
Right.
So they start throwing up like 30 different types of crops.
Right.
Potentially, they start talking about all the villages around the world, right? And it's like, can we focus, like where are you going to go first is usually the way I try to bring that back. Well, tell me about where you're going to go first.
Yeah. Right.
Right? And that, whatever's in your mind right now, what's that village look like? Tell me about that village, right? Tell me about those crops, right? Tell me about the problem that you're going to deal with first. Because they want to show this can be so much, this can be so big, blah, blah, blah. And all you're telling people is you got no focus. So you want to show focus, but then talk about, toward the end of that story you say, and there's dragons everywhere, right? So
lots of problems.
Right? So there's dragons everywhere. So you can talk about, when you're market sizing, you can talk about there's dragons everywhere. And then people are like, oh, there's this is going to be big, right?
Yeah.
There be dragons there. So one of the ways they get wrong is they can't focus on a village. They can't focus on a crop. They can't focus on a dragon. Because they want to show how, look, it's not just dragons, but there's also Gila monsters, and there's big fish, and there could be planes, and it's like you're not even in this, right? Where aliens could come, we could deal with aliens with the sharp sword. Sure, a sharp sword probably could poke aliens, but that's not what we're talking about here, right? And this is how these conversations go.
Yeah.
So that's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is they want to dig deep, and one of the reasons why I force them to put the shield and the sword, the hero, at the end, is a lot of times they get you looking at them and they want to tell you all about the shield and the sword. Here's what it's made out of. Here's how long it is. Here's how you can wheel it. Here's what it weighs.
Yeah.
Here, let me tell you about the logistics chain in getting the materials available and how it's produced, because they love their product.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one cares about their product like they do except them.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yep.
People care about benefits.
Business outcomes.
Dragon and crops.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Tell me about that. Again.
Yeah. That's really good insight.
So they really love, so getting them to back off.
I'd say that's a primary problem that I've seen, is that people really focus on their
they want to
product
talk about what they
way
do.
too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the way I often start pushing on them on that is I say the following. Your pitch is not about you.
Yeah.
And the looks on their face like, oh, right?
That's so right.
Your pitch is not about you. Your pitch, just like any advertisement, is about the audience.
Yeah.
You might be some of the content, you might be the subject, right?
Yep.
But you're not what this is about. So that's part number 2. And then we're like, well, we're leaving out the blank, and 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 we're leaving out the blank. Okay?
Yep.
But your pitch is not your business plan. I think that's a thing they get wrong too, is they want to talk about every aspect of their business in their pitch.
Yeah.
No, your pitch is an advertising tool used to get an investor to write a check.
Yeah.
The same way you wouldn't put your whole business plan in front of a customer.
Right. Yeah.
You wouldn't put the whole business plan in front of a potential employee.
Yeah.
You would put the relevant aspects in front of them.
Right.
That's it. The next thing that I often get into, that I try to help guide on, that I have strong opinions about. This is all about Richard's strong opinions. Oh, okay. There is no right deck.
Yeah.
There is no best Coke. There is no best hamburger.
No.
Right? There is no best deck. And intelligent people often express their intelligence through critique. So you're going to hear 1,000 times why your deck isn't right and how you should do blank instead.
Right.
Nod your head politely, take it, maybe put something in the appendix if it's a pretty good comment, but don't change your deck because it'll never let go of trying to think of making a right deck, a deck that's going to satisfy your audience. And so that takes me to what I was going to say, which is a place where I have a strong opinion is not to have a competition slide. How can you not have a competition slide, Richard? That's crazy. I'm glad you...
How could you not have a competition slide, Richard? That's crazy.
I'm glad you said that.
I'm glad I could help.
Two things.
It is really interesting.
Intelligent people express their intelligence through critique, right? They're going to break things apart, and the way they understand you is by putting you into buckets. So, that's my next point. But, so one of the ways they understand you is how you stack up against others.
Right.
Okay? And I need to come back to one thing, but we'll stick on this. How you stack up against others. So they're going to want to know competition. Two things. Thing number one is, I don't want their name in my mouth. I'm not going to put on my deck a competitor's name.
So giving them free advertising.
I'm not putting their name on my deck.
Yeah.
And talk about something that's emotional, not intellectual. But it comes with a good reason. It comes with a good purpose. Because you know that they're going to ask you about competition. You know they're going to ask you about competition. Not having it on the deck means they are going to, if you have it on the deck, they may or may not ask. If you don't have it in your deck, they will ask you about competition.
Yeah.
Which means you can be 100% prepared for a question you know you're going to get as if you seeded the question in the audience. And so now you look good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad you asked that question. Let me tell you about the competition. Boom, 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 boom. Here's how we look at it. Here's what it did, right? And maybe you've got a slide in the back if it's a very intricate market. But now you look, they're like, oh, wow, he knows the stuff.
He's a smart guy.
You just rattle that off his head.
Or a person.
Right? Just rattle that off their head.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, that's really...
And there's more than just competition. If there's something that's like really, that's not in your story arc, that you know they're going to ask about. Well, how are you going to do pricing? Well, how are you going to do blah, blah? Be prepared for it, but you know you're going to get the... Like, that's so much better than getting a question where you're like, I didn't see that coming, right? They're going to ask their questions in order of lowest hanging fruit to most difficult thing, right?
Right.
So if you give them enough low hanging fruit, you're never going to get to a question that makes you look stupid.
So is there not a risk in that of looking incomplete or unprepared or...
So here's my thought on that. We often, and by we I mean mankind, when you think of the stories you really, really liked as a kid, and especially like the whodunits, right? The ones where you had to solve the puzzle.
Yeah, right.
It's very frequent that readers will describe the books they like the best as not the ones that they were surprised or, the person, whatever. It'll be where the narrator tells them who done it right after they figure out who done it.
Huh.
So your job is to make certain facts obvious before you tell them. You would think, that makes me look dumb and slow. It's not what happens in real life. What happens in real life is they're like, oh, I got this. Yep. Now you've made them feel smart.
Huh.
And if the audience feels smart, the audience thinks you're smart. And they feel like they're having a positive experience. Your deck is not about you.
Yeah.
Your deck is about them.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And if you can make them feel good and smart, you have one. Then they'll layer it on by asking a question they know is like a question that I have not seen it where an investor asks a question and does so in a way that's like, I'm asking you a stupid question. I can't believe you don't have this answer, right? Or I can't believe you didn't address this. They think all their questions are smart and insightful. Tell me about competition, right?
Yeah, okay.
I'd love to tell you, like, great question.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. Yep, I knew that. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
In fact, as part of that, when it comes to investors, unlike storytelling maybe in a movie where like a twist ending is somehow intriguing, whatever, I would not do that with investors. Reiterate what they already think. Make them feel smart. Make them feel like they were right, and they will think you are right.
Is there a profile of investor to pursue based on the business? Here's what I mean by that. We've talked about ag a couple of times. If you're trying to fund an ag company, an ag tech company, do you focus on ag investors or you just look for people with money?
Yeah. Before I answer that, there was a thing that I said I wanted to put aside and come back to.
Yeah,
and I forget what that was. It was about competition. Set up the answer. I forget. I'm hoping it'll come to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's answer your question. So, investor profile.
Yeah.
Speaking solely about angel investors. So VCs, briefly, venture capitalists, hedge type funds, right? PE type funds,
Private equity
type funds, PE. Family offices, which are essentially like a VC, but it's one family's money. Hi, I've got a couple $100 million. I'm going to put 20 into essentially my own captive VC and have a manager run it, and right. There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, it's. I'm always shocked.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there.
Jeez.
So a lot of times a couple of things. You need to make sure that it's within their, like, don't approach them if it's not within their thesis. Like, and you can talk to them about that or talk to people who know them and they will have a thesis. Like, we only invest in companies that have a strong founder team where one is a technologist and one is a commercial person. We know that. We know a fund that does that.
Yeah.
We only invest in stuff that has both a commercial and governmental application. We only invest in stuff in a particular industry. We only invest, right? So whatever their because they underlying that, they have a thesis that we believe we can outperform the market if we invest in companies that have strong founding teams that have great, not charisma, what a great capacity for each other, like that fit.
Yeah.
We have
Chemistry.
That's the word I was looking for. Chemistry. Their thesis is, we believe that this market will outstrip others. So technology and agriculture, focused on X, Y, and Z because we know, right? Focused on water usage, focused on energy usage. Like they've got a thesis that those investments will outperform others.
Yeah. How do you determine their thesis?
A lot of times they have it on their website.
And if you're dealing with an angel, I mean, is there a way to...
Okay, so that's VCs. They're the easy ones.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say about VCs is that a true VC will often have a 10-year life, and then they stagger them. So there's 10 years, and then they raise. So you'll see like Acorn 1, and then Acorn 2, and then Acorn 3, and they're always raised about 5 years, and they use the returns of the first one to show to people to say, are you going to sign up for the next one? And what they do in that 10-year window, the 10-year life of, I use the word Acorn Ventures, is they're going to invest for 5 years, and they're going to reap for 5 years, meaning they'll do first investments and follow-ons. They'll start doing follow-ons and want to turn it back into capital. So if you are finding a fund that either hasn't raised the next one, right? So don't go to Acorn 1 if they're on Acorn 3, right? Acorn 1 is a dead fund, right? That is just, it's done investing, it's done reaping, and it happens to have some investments still left in it that it can't figure out a way to get out of, so it's called a zombie fund. Even in Acorn 2, if it's in year 6, they're done theoretically investing, right? So find out the thesis, find out where the fund is at, and then almost always they will not take cold calls. You need to be introduced. So talk to Tim, talk to Richard, and we'll get you introduced. So that's the professional investor community.
Yeah.
Angels are just rich people. Rich people that want to sit at cocktail parties and say, I invested in so-and-so, right? Could be a local bank, could be a small company, could be whatever. Here's the profile of an angel investor. So first, an angel investor, unless you really know them, they're a director, employee, whatever, really they shouldn't be investing unless they're accredited, which means they meet certain income levels as dictated by the SEC. And so they've been determined it's okay for them to lose their money because they could lose their money. But your average angel investor in the United States is a 50-something-year-old male, has had more than one business themselves, is willing to invest 10% of their investable wealth. So if they've got $1 million in the bank, they're willing to invest $100,000. They probably are going to write checks between 10 and 25 grand.
Huh.
So it's not like, right?
$500,000.
This is right. There's going to be whales, but your average angel investor, they frequently have a graduate degree or something like that. They generally invest in industries they know or have competencies in. They generally invest within 20 miles of where they live.
Oh, huh.
So, now, if you were to look at angel investing groups, Seraph,
Seattle Angel,
right? So if you were to look at these groups, they'll have a couple hundred members. In Western Washington, there are 50,000 households with investable wealth of $1 million or more.
Huh.
So theoretically, now
50,000
with investable wealth of $1 million or more. It's something like 3 to 5%.
Wow.
And so if there's 1 million households, 50,000 households.
Yep.
Right? At 5%. And it's something more than 1 million households in Western Washington. Now, that will also include people that worked at Boeing for 40 years and just have a pile of money saved up. Right? So there's going to be people in there that don't write checks as investments, right? It's just not what they do.
Right.
But it's certainly a lot more than the 300 to 500 if you were to add up, assuming no overlap in the membership of Keiretsu and Angel, Seattle Angel, right? If you were to include no overlap and just look at their roles, it probably adds up to 1,000 people, maybe. And so there's 49,000 other people to go out and get.
Is there? I wonder if there's another episode of how do you go out and find those people?
There is each one of these segments that I talked about, meaning the rounds, the investors, the risks you're trying to mitigate, the things you're using the money for, the approximate how much you're raising, what kind of dilution, what mechanisms do you do, so the how you raise it,
Yeah.
and then the storytelling around that. Each one of those could easily be, like, I must have taken an hour so far, and I have barely scratched the surface of this. I could easily do a bunch on each one of those subjects.
All right. Well, maybe that's the teaser we end with. And
Yeah.
do you have more that you want to talk about?
Man, I wish I could remember this last thing last problem that I see entrepreneurs make and the guidance I give them. So there was they want to say how big their baby is when in fact they need to focus.
Yeah.
They want to talk in detail about their baby rather than talking about their target market or the benefits, right?
Yeah.
The problem they solve.
Yeah.
They believe their deck is their business plan.
Yeah.
They believe there is a right answer to the deck, so they keep trying to add on, right? They keep, anytime they get feedback, they're like, I need a slide for that, right? So they end up with this Frankenstein.
Monster. Yeah.
When in fact, no, your story is your story, and it's not going to hit sometimes, and you can always put another slide in the appendix.
Yeah.
Come back later, or just be prepared for that question, right? And then I forget the last one. So stay tuned next time, and I'll give you the last one.
I have a thought. So a lot of this, the chasing shiny objects, I think, there's gold in what you described. I think I want to just layer on one other thing, and I've been primarily around young technology businesses, and in the fundraising area, I've seen CEOs stretch the truth. And I guess the advice guidance that I would like to share is be transparent, be truthful. Not only are you going to be able to live with yourself, but you're not going to get yourself in trouble with the people that are investing and believing in you. By investing in your company, they are believing in you. So tell the truth, be honest, be transparent, share what's appropriate to be shared.
Yeah, can I add on that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Here's something that's true. People have a good sense when you're pitching to investors. They are already in a mindset of being careful, right? In a mindset of disbelief, in a mindset of distrust. And people are freaking smart. They have a great sense. They will know when you're lying. And one thing I can guarantee you, people don't write checks to people they don't trust.
Yeah.
100%. So you think you're juggling faster, you're doing a good job, you got that by them. I guarantee you did not get it by them, and they are not writing you a check. Here's what you can do instead, is you can say, great question. I don't know the answer right now. Let me take your information, and I'll get back to you tonight with an answer. And now you've done two things. One, they're like, well, you didn't know the answer. Maybe they think that's you're a dummy, but maybe they're like, that guy's truthful dummy. And you have their contact information. I'm just saying, it's a way to get a call back. The second piece to that is I have seen people stretch the truth, make whatever. I've seen it fail miserably. And so I would just reiterate what Tim has said and say, you actually increase your probability of success by being truthful rather than trying to slip one by them. And if you think about it, when we see people who are vulnerable, when we see people who put themselves out there, oddly enough, we don't think, that guy's a jerk. We often are like, wow, look at that. Like, what kind of strength that person has
Yeah.
to be that vulnerable, to be that authentic. Like, that's your reaction when you see it. Yet when we think about ourselves doing those same behaviors, we worry that it's weakness, it's whatever.
Yeah.
No one else thinks it's weakness, only you do. So I would actually say, flip that script on its head.
Yeah.
You will come off more authentic. You'll come off in a way that people say, there's a strong individual that knows what they're talking about, and you can actually use it to get more data out of them and get their contact information, get them a write a check later.
Yeah. Yeah. And the truth is, you're probably not going to raise money just once, right?
Oh.
So if you, whether it's at this company or at
100%.
subsequent companies, burn somebody, you will never raise money from them, or their group of influence either, right? So you're looking for a lifetime relationship, not just a one-time relationship.
It's like living in a small town. I live in a small town, and you'll see someone doing something silly at a red light or something like that, and they're acting like no one's ever going to see them again, right? They yell at someone in the crosswalk or whatever, and you're like, why are you doing that? Like, you live in this town, they live in this town, you're going to see each other again.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with investors, is it's such a small community, and especially if they do write you a check, you're going to see them again, and you're going to want them to write another check. And so if they have regrets, yikes.
All right. Thank you
Yeah, no worries.
for your time. Thank you for your time. I hope you got something out of this. I look forward to seeing you again next week, where we'll take the next step in this process of raising money and running a business. Take care.